Hello everyone, welcome to this module on a quick demo of the OCI block volume service. In the previous module, we introduced the block volume service and we looked into some of its details. In this module, let's demo the service and look at some of those things in action. So right here, I'm in the OCI console. We have been using the OCI console for some of the other modules. And if I click on these sandwich or the burger menu here, I can see the various service links here, right? So there's compute, block storage, object storage, etc. So I'll click on block storage, and the first link here is block volumes. And right here, it gives me an option to create a new block volume. So let's create a new block volume. And I've been creating a bunch of these block volumes in my account previously. I'll call it block volume 1. Compartment training is fine. I'm in a multi AD region, so it gives me a choice of three different ADs. If I'm in a single AD region, I'll just see one AD here, and that's fine. It gives me a size. Let me just pick 100 gig. Right below, you can see that the sizes can go from 50 gigs all the way to 32 terabyte, right? We looked into this in when we were discussing the service. There are backup policies, etc. We'll look into into those in the subsequent module. And right here, there is the volume performance units. We talked about the whole idea of elastic performance with the block volume service. So I can pick three different performance levels. There is a lower cost, which gives me 2 IOPS per gig. There is the balanced level, which gives me 60 IOPS per gig, and this is the default. If I hadn't picked anything, it would default to 60 IOPS per gig. This is the default both for new block volumes as well as boot volumes. And then right here, the third one is the higher performance. If I go into this, I get 75 IOPS per gig. The use cases, the first one where you is for applications like streaming, data warehouse, log ingestion, where you need a lot of sequential uh, throughput, you would go with the lowest cost. Balanced is good for any kind of random read or write. So booting up your disks, running your databases, SharePoint, VMware, etc. And then the highest performance is for really the best performance workloads like your databases, etc. You would go with the highest performance. So I'd pick balanced here. That's fine. Right below, I see an option for encryption. So this is server-side encryption. I could encrypt using Oracle managed keys. So we manage the keys for server-side encryption. So this is encryption at rest for data at rest. Or I could bring in my own keys. I could do that. I'm going to let Oracle manage the keys. That's fine. And right here, I could do tagging. So let me just click block volume, and it's rather straightforward process to create a block volume. And again, it's flexible. I can choose any size between 50 gig all the way to 32 terabyte, right? As it's getting created, you can see here that I have some links for attached instances, matrix, backups, clones, etc., right? So if I click on attached instances, I can see that there is no instance which is attached right now. So I can click attach instance, right? And I can attach this block volume to an instance. If you recall from the slides, block volume, the whole idea is to give you the durable and persistent storage. So you can attach it to an instance, then you can detach it. Even if the instance goes away, your data is still persistent and durable. So I get two options here, iSCSI and paravirtualized. I'll choose iSCSI. Then I get different access type options. So there's read write shareable, and there is read only. So read write means you can read and write both. Read write shareable means the same block volume can be shared across multiple compute instances, right? That's again, no other cloud vendor does this today except Oracle. And so I'll choose read write, and read only means you want to protect the data you just want to read, don't not write to it, right? So I can select instance here, and I have these 4 5 instances running. If you recall from the other module we had on compute, we were running auto scaling. So let me just pick this auto scaling instance, and then it's asking me to pick a consistent device path. And if you scroll here, you can see the device path, get more details. The whole idea is if you are rebooting your instance and you want your block volumes to mount automatically, it's a good idea to use the consistent device path. Otherwise, when you do that, you have increase in your etc fstab file. Sometimes you would see inconsistent behavior. Your block volumes would not be mounted, etc. So it's good to use the consistent device path, and you can see the device path here slash dev slash oracle oci slash oracle vdb. It always starts with it always the ends with oracle v d, and then there is a letter here, whether it's vdb, vdc, vdd, etc, etc, right? And you can choose any of these values. So I'll click attach here, and what it's doing now is it's attaching the block volume to the compute instance. And as it does that, let me jump over to the compute instance. As it's doing that, it because I chose my attachment type as iSCSI, I'll have to run some commands to attach my volume, because remember, these volumes are running on network storage, so they're running somewhere else. They're not directly attached to the instance. They are storage servers running over the network. So I need to run those commands. If I had chosen paravirtualized, uh, it automatically takes care of attaching the volumes as if it's running locally. But then the downside with paravirtualization is you have a little bit of performance overhead. With ice, because you don't run into that. So if I click on instance here, I can see that my block volume is attached, right? So if I see on this ellipsis menu, there is a list of all the iSCSI commands to attach or detach. So let me just copy my iSCSI commands, and right here, let me SSH first thing. Let me SSH into this instance. So if I scroll up, I can see the public IP address, and this is the instance we were using for auto scaling, and it is living in a public subnet, and we had done we had created the VCN and the subnets, etc., in the previous modules. So I am able to log to SSH into the instance, and let me now run these iSCSI commands to attach the block volume to the instance. So I run these, and you see all of these. The acknowledgement is that it's successful. So now if I do a list of block devices, I can see that this 100 gig block volume we just attach appears here, right? So what happened to the consistent device path we just talked about? So to look at that, we could do a listing and find out where those volumes are, the consistent device paths are, right? And if you see here, I'm doing just a listing of my disks. You can see that this one here is the one we just attached, right? Slash dev slash oracle oci slash oracle vdb. And to confirm that, if I go back to my console, you can see the consistent device path here, right? Is the same as what appears on my screen here, right? Let me just clear my screen. And now what I need to do is this is typical of any operation you want to do with your block devices. I need to create a partition first. Let me run it. And then I need to create a file system here. And as the file system is created, I can create a mount point, and then I mount this drive, this block volume to the mount point, and then I can start using it, right? So let me just quickly create a point directory. Let's say it's disk one is fine, and then sudo mount. And if I run list block devices now, I can see my 100 gig file is here, right? And now I can go start running my application here. I can start storing my data here, right? It's asking as this, as you would expect in a sort of a block volume service, right? A couple of other things I can do here is my block volume. If I click here, I can change my performance tiers, and it's dynamic. So if I want to go to a 75 IOPS per gig, I could just click here, higher performance, and change my performance. And you would see that even though the icon says provisioning, it's a dynamic provisioning, right? So I don't have to detach my volume. I don't have to incur a downtime to do that, right? And you can see my performance is now changed, and now I am at the higher performance tier, right? So it's pretty straightforward. I can also do backups and clones. So if you click a backup here, I could say this is my full backup or incremental backup, and click create, and now my backup is getting created. Backups and clones are mutually exclusive, so I can run only one at a time. So if I want to come here and run a clone, it would give me an error saying that I cannot do a clone because there's a backup which is going on, right? The one thing which you should notice here is my original volume was 100 gig, but I could go to a higher tier or a higher size volume here. So I could go to 200 gig, and nothing prevents me from doing that. I could do that and create a clone, and it's still the backup is going on. Otherwise, I could create a clone of 200 gig. So remember we talked about block volume resize, the three ways you can resize. One way is you create a clone, a bigger clone. The other way is you create a backup and a bigger backup, right? You could always go from 100 gig volume to a backup which is 200 gig, and you create a volume from that backup. And the third way to do resize is, if I go back to my block volume here, is you would see that the resize is sort of right now grayed out, right? And the reason it's grayed out is that this volume is attached to an instance. So in order for me to resize this volume, I have to today it's offline resize. So I'll click on detach here, and it detaches the volume from the instance. And now if I go back to my block volume, I should be able to resize it, right? So if I come here, it's just in the process of getting detached. Let me just refresh my screen. I should be able to resize it, right? And of course, when you resize, you can attach it back to the instance. But when you do that, you will have to operating system has to recognize the new volume, so you'll have to create partitions and all that stuff you'll have to do. Again, depending on Windows or Linux, the behavior will be slightly different. But right now you can see I'm going from 100 gig volume to 200 gig. So that's pretty much a quick demo on block volumes, some of the characteristics. In the next few modules, we will look into things like backups and restoration, and also a little bit more details on cloning and volume groups. Thank you for joining this module on a quick block volume demo. I hope you found it useful. Thank you.